didn't sleep for hours. I was so excited. So without any further ado, Dr. Ben Stukel, let us know what you learned in California.
Right, all right.
Woo!
Sorry about the sleep issue, though. That kind of sucks.
About the what issue?
Sleep.
Oh,
Lack of
now
sleep.
It's good.
Well, like Kathy said, I'm sure most of you all know this, but I just got back from the BBR in Anaheim, Southern California, where it wasn't all that warm. It was like 62 degrees, so it was nice, but it wasn't like 75 and beautiful, so that was okay because I really never got to get outside anyway. But Daniel asked me to come out to help him with that particular event, and the cool thing about it is that I got to go out and do it, but I also got to sit and take notes and kind of learn from all these great leaders. And these are some of the guys we've all learned from, the women we've learned from, but it's just another opportunity to get in front of people. And so, we had some amazing speakers there. Leslie and Freddie Hashi. We had two founders, Bobby, Darren. We had Kinau. The speaker list was ridiculous, so it was really good as far as a learning experience. And so the best part is I get to come home and help you guys now, teach you guys some of what I was able to pick up at this particular event. So I'm pretty excited about it. And it did reiterate for me even how important events are, you guys. These businesses are up and down, and I'm probably going to do about 2 or 3 of these Zoom meetings now, maybe not in a row, but based on some of the stuff I learned. And so you're going to get some of that stuff, but that's Kinau's, his keynote speech, if you will, is the peaks and valleys. And so, we kind of have to ride through those, and the events are the one thing that really help you get past that and get through those valleys when they do hit. So it just kind of taught me again how important they are. But what I want to cover tonight is basically one of the main speakers that was there and some of his information. There'll be a mix in of some other of the speakers, but the main thing I want to talk about tonight is what Art Jonak talked about. And if you don't know who Art is the CEO or the mastermind of the mastermind events, right? So he knows this industry probably as good as anyone I've ever heard talk, just because of the way his mind works. He studies basically the metrics. He understands what's happening in the industry. He understands what to do and what not to do. And it was a really unique experience to hear somebody that's not in Yoli talking about Yoli. And this is an extremely successful guy. And I did record some of what he talked about, but also just took a lot of notes. And the one thing that I can tell you is this is an extremely successful man in this industry and in many others. In fact, he travels around to other companies and just teaches them how to apply principles of direct sales into regular business models. So, the guy knows his stuff. And one thing he did say is if he was investing, which he's a major investor, the guy invests constantly. He said one of the first direct sale companies he would invest in is Yoli. And that meant something to everyone in attendance because, again, this dude runs the mastermind. He understands the industry, so it's great to hear that he's on board with what we're doing on Yoli. He talked a little bit right away about it being let's do it together business, right? So you're not building this on your own, just so you know. You can't. We have to build this as a team. He talked about how we build moments and memories together. And then those moments and memories compound, just like building friendships. We build friendships and they compound. So an example, to put that in perspective is, when I started this business, I started with, let's say, Parker. Well, Parker was good friends with Clint. I knew Clint quite well, but Parker knew him better. He gets Clint. Then Clint gets Dr. Scott. Dr. Scott gets Anna. And pretty soon we're all friends, and I'm friends with people I didn't even really know before. So those friendships compound over time. And what Art would talk about is, remember, we're in a friend business. This is a do-it-together business. You can't be attacking people constantly. We just have to build relationships and build them on a consistent basis, and they will compound. He talked about the idea of BLP. He didn't call it BLP. He calls it community. But he said in all of his studies and everything in business, he works a lot with Silicon Valley companies. He talked about how community is everything, or BLP is everything. And all these companies are trying to figure out how they can get BLP like basically we have. And in his words, he says Yoli is probably the leader in the entire industry, as far as he knows, to all direct sales companies for BLP. And he said that is where everything is going. They're going away from all these other, training aspects, and they're going to trying to figure out how to create BLP, because if they can create community, then they attract more people, because people want to belong. He said, keep what you guys have going in Yoli. He said, protect Yoli Nation, protect our BLP. And one thing I wanted to say about that is, you guys, we have a ton of fun together. Like this coming weekend, we're all going to get together and we're going to have a ton of fun. And that is BLP, right? That is the sense of belonging. But the key is not to just go and take it all in. The key is to invite more people into that, right? We want to invite more people to create more BLP. It's not just about us on this call that we all hang out together and we always do it, and that's what we'll always keep. We got to share the love, if you will. So make sure that we're inviting more people, really push for keeping or adding people to our BLP, right? If you're going to have a member rally or a customer appreciation or something like that, just make sure you're really working hard to get more people into that, because the more people in the community, the faster the community grows. It's exponential. It compounds. One other thing he said is in the industry right now, he's seeing a big trend away from Facebook, and believe it or not, but he's seeing the trend switch from people wanting 5,000 friends on Facebook to wanting 5 really good friends face to face. And there again lies the idea of community, right? And it's been a trend the other way for a number of years now. It's been more, let's try to build our social media, let's try to build our friends list, even though they really aren't friends and we really don't know them. And he said the trend is now swapped and it's going the other way. People are falling away from things like Facebook very quickly. In fact, the millennials are almost non-existent on that site now. And the millennials now own the largest market share of all of direct sales. They own like 38 or 39%, where the Gen Xers are about 36. So the group that's taking over is not on Facebook. They're actually shifting back to wanting to have true relationships, which is wonderful for our company, because we've already established the idea of BLP, right? So that's exciting. So another key thing he talked about was understanding the industry and understanding how to talk about the industry. To be very careful how you use your words. When you're trying to talk with a prospective member or customer and they want to know what this business is, be very careful about what you say, because it can influence their ideas about what you're about to present to them. So he gave some research that he and Daniel Song had done, where they poured over tons and tons of articles that were about direct sales, and they found a logarithm basically that said which articles were going to be negative and which ones were going to be positive, and then which words were used or which ideas or themes were used in those articles. And so I'm going to share those really quickly. He found that negative ideas and negative articles always had a certain thing, certain 4 concepts in them. Number one, they tended to focus on alpha males, a male that just runs the show, runs the show, runs the show. 2, they talk a lot about big checks, not $200 a month, not $50 a week. They talk about mega checks. Any of the articles that talked about, 6 and 7-figure incomes immediately had a negative connotation. They talked about the word recruiting, and they use the word recruiting. That's a negative thing. In general, so you guys have got to understand, this is our nation. This is the general populace. This is what they think. And so when we use words like we're recruiting, it's creating a negativity. And then the 2 concepts, the 2 words that describe our industry, network marketing and MLM. Those are big no-nos. You say either one of those, you're driving negative thoughts, negative ideas that have been pre-existing for long periods of time. So we want to steer clear of saying, oh, it's a network marketing business. Now I don't know if you guys did, but if you listened to Robbie just a little while ago, he did use the term network marketing. But you have to understand, Robbie is so sure of himself and so sure of this business that he's not worried about those terms. But according to Art, we do need to worry about that, because maybe those people don't have the same confidence in this industry. So things that brought about positive ideas. 1, believe it or not, women involved in this business, couples involved in this business. In fact, the majority of the 20% top income earners in all of direct sales are either women or couples, period. So get everybody involved, right? If you're single, get your significant other involved. That's really, really important. The concept of extra income or extra checks. You talk about that to people, they're interested in the idea of, oh, do you want an extra income, or would you like to earn an extra check? That idea really went over well. The term sharing versus selling. And I know we know that, we utilize that a lot. We try not to talk about sales, we talk about sharing the kit. And then finally, the terms direct sales or social sales or side hustle. Turns out those have a very positive connotation. In fact, that is the new sexy, he said, side hustles. Millennials, they love the idea of a side hustle, right? Doing a network marketing business, there's the term, or doing Uber, driving for Uber. Those kind of ideas are really, really cool to them. So when you're talking to people, you want to kind of make that list and keep in mind what you're saying. Direct sales, side hustle, things like that. Sharing, make sure you're using the right wording, he said. He talked about how, of course, people want to be entrepreneurs. And we believe we are. And we are entrepreneurs in this field, but not really. And what I mean by that, and what he meant by that is, look, we're entrepreneurs, but we didn't have to do the work to start this business. We don't do all the work that's behind the scenes. We don't do all the corporate work. We have a corporate team that's already in place. We didn't have to put that all together. We don't have to make the wheels turn, right? All we have to do is plug in. So we're entrepreneurs in thinking that it's our own business, but it's the easiest entrepreneurial business you'll ever get into. And so when these people are talking about wanting to be an entrepreneur, it's exciting because you can talk to them about, hey, I've got an opportunity for you. And not only that, you don't have to invest $150,000, $200,000, $500,000 to start an entrepreneurial business, but you can plug in and it's very simple. Our corporate team will take care of you. So we are entrepreneurs, but it's at a different status. And he wanted to make that very clear. He talked about the idea of having a job, right? And Bobby also talked about that, Bobby Jones. He talked about, be careful of what we say there. This industry is kind of turned having a job into having a black eye, right? Oh, we don't want to have the job. and we talk about it negatively. And he said, the majority of all the people we attract, the majority of all the people you will talk to have a job. And you want them to keep that job. That job is what provides them quick income to put into their Yoli business to make it more successful or quicker, become successful quicker. He said, don't say, and I'm not going to lie, I really hadn't heard this much at all. But he said, when you hear the term job, what do you think of? And apparently, for those of you who've maybe been in this business a long time, you understand that everybody in the room would scream, just over broke. And he asked this group at the BBR, when you hear job, what do you think? And of 250 people, give or take, in that room, only about 30 to 40 said, just over broke. And he said, that is amazing, because if he were to travel and talk, which he does, to nearly any other direct sales company, he said the room would absolutely explode, because everybody says just over broke. And he goes, it's the worst thing you can say, because it gives them a negative taste in their mouth immediately, because they think, oh, they're downing me because I have a job. They want me to quit my job. And he says, that's not the case. You keep your job, use your side hustle to pay off debt. Get yourself free of that problem. So he talked about how to explain the side hustle to somebody who really doesn't get it. They don't see the bigger picture. And he said, first of all, what if your boss said to you, you have to work 1 extra hour every day for 2 years for no pay? Or what if somebody came to you and said, I want to hire you, but you only have to work 1 hour a day, every day, 7 days a week for the next 2 years. And oh, by the way, I'm not going to pay you a cent. Doesn't sound so great, does it? But what if he went on to say, if you work that 1 hour a day, every day for the next 2 years, and I give you nothing, and you continue to work for another 2 years, and I'll pay you. Now you've worked 4 years, and I'll pay you. And at the end of those 4 years, whatever your weekly income is, you can retire on that day, and I will pay you that the rest of your life. And he said, really hammer that concept home, because it does a couple things. It basically says, so what would you be willing to work 1 hour a day for the next 2 years if you knew that in 4 years, whatever you're making on a weekly basis, you get for the rest of your life? Chances are your entire concept, your entire idea of direct sales changes, right? Because now you're getting paid to do nothing. The other idea is, how hard would you work for those 2 years for free if you knew that at the end of 4 years, that's what you get? Would you rather get, at the end of 4 years, I'm only making, $200 a week, or would you be working your butt off for that 1 hour a week to try to get it to $5,000 a week? So it's a way to explain it to somebody who doesn't get it. It also explains the idea of, you guys, we put a ton of work in early in this business for very little pay. And so I know you've heard me talk about this before, but we want to get past that as quickly as we possibly can, right? We want to get to the part where you're actually getting paid. But if you understand the concept of you're going to work hard early and not make much money, you will make some, which sounds better than making nothing for 2 years. You will make some, but it'll get you past that whole idea of why am I not getting paid right now? He said we have to get very good. We have to be careful about talking about becoming millionaires, and there's a fine line there, right? I mean, we want to have big dreams, big aspirations, but he says you can't create millionaires right away. We've got to get good at creating 10 heirs, 100 heirs, 1,000 heirs, 10,000 heirs. Before you can get to a millionaire, you've got to get people to these little miniature milestones. Get them to earn their first $10, their first $100. But the key is keep it going. Keep that momentum going. because people are excited. Not everybody thinks I need to make $20,000 a week. For a lot of you, if you could make $500 a week or $200 a week, it'd be life-changing, and that's awesome. So we want to really focus on that when you're talking with people. So how do we get people? How do we create contacts? For a lot of people, they want to say, well, I've used all my contacts, I'm out. I just don't have anybody. That's an easy way out, right? So what Art says is we need to make friends, we need to help those friends, and we need to repeat. So how do we make friends? So you meet someone for a very short period of time. You need to build very short rapport. And I mean, we're talking short as in 15 minutes in an Uber, somebody in line somewhere, and you have an interesting conversation for 5 minutes. You've now met that person. You've built a very short rapport with them. But before leaving them, and he said, and I quote, would it be okay if we stay in touch? Guys, make sure you write that one down. Would it be okay if we stay in touch? The reason you should write it down is because he said that has never failed him. In all his years in this industry, when he's talking to somebody, he seems, thinks, hey, in the back of his head, he's thinking this lady or this guy could knock it out of the park. He basically then immediately thinks, okay, I just need to stay in touch. I'm not going to jam it down their throat and start telling them they need to join my business and they need to be a member and they need, that's not the idea. Build the relationship. But you need to be doing this on a consistent daily basis so that every relationship you grow over the course of a month, 6 months, or a year, eventually those people are going to ask you about what you do. They're going to ask you they want to know more about our business. But if you're doing it on a consistent basis, you will have this constant stream or revolving door of new people. And so you will constantly stay busy with that. If as soon as you say that and they say, yeah, absolutely, we can stay in contact. He said, pop your phone open, go to contacts, and give your phone to them. Let them put their contact in there. Then you can then establish that relationship over the course of a year or whatever through text. Now you'll have them on social media. You have endless possibilities to keep that relationship going. When they eventually come around and they say, I'm kind of curious about what you do. What is this Yoli thing? He has a little different approach about how to create curiosity with them. And I thought it was very good. He says, simply, when they do that, when they initiate, he said, very simply ask them, sure, what would you like to know first? That's it. And then listen to what they say. Because depending on what they ask, if they ask about weight loss, or he said, then you implement your system. You show them one of the videos, or maybe they say, tell me how I get paid. How will I get paid if I were to join your business? And like for him, he said the answer to that one is, he says it's simple. If you share with a bunch of people, you make a bunch of money. If you share with a few less people, you make a little less money. That's it. Keep it very simple, very quick. Don't oversell them, but answer their questions. And our videos do a great job, you guys. So the majority of those questions can be answered with our videos, right? You don't want to be the expert. You don't want to start telling them all about Alclete and stuff like that. Just say, oh, absolutely, I can answer that question. Let me show you a video. And so he said, just implement your system, but keep asking the same question. What would you like to know next? What would you like to know now? What would you like to know next? And eventually, he said, they'll run out of questions. And when they do, the next thing you say, is there anything else you would like to know before you get started? Now, the key to that statement is the before you get started, right? So you've just spent your time answering everything that they can think of, which they're basically searching for reasons that they wouldn't join you. You've now answered those questions, and you've now implemented or inserted the idea of before you get started, meaning they are going to get started. because you've removed any reason they wouldn't. So these concepts, these ideas, this is just different ways, you guys, to say some of the same things we've been saying. You know, you really need to see it the way I saw it. That's great. That's fine. If it's working for you, keep using it. But these are kind of an alternate way to go about it, and I thought they were good. The gig economy. He talked a lot about the gig economy, and it's not a term that maybe all of you understand or know what that means, but a gig is like a job, a side hustle. And the gig economy is the new economy, right? The millennials, they're all looking for the side gig. And so I'm going to touch on that just briefly here as soon as I find it. There's perks to the gig economy, and it's a really positive thing to most younger people. The idea of the gig economy, they want a side gig, so it's a positive concept. And he said there's some things about it that are very they're very good. People want them. They like the ideas. One, low entry cost. Two, they get an extra paycheck. There's that idea. They have a flexible schedule. They're easy to start. They're results based. They have an upfront income, and the parent company does most of the work, right? So he used the idea of Uber, and he said, look at it. I mean, they have a low entry cost. They just need a car and they go to work. Doesn't cost them anything. Download the app. They get the extra paycheck. They get to drive whenever they want. And he goes, you may be thinking, well, why am I telling you this? Because they're in direct competition with us then, right? Because they're trying to do the same thing we are. We're trying to get the same people to do a side hustle. But he said, okay, but there's some things about direct selling that are even better yet. We have all the same things they do, short of maybe that upfront money. You don't get that money really quick, like maybe you do in some of the others. But he says you get with a direct sales for these people who are thinking about joining something, maybe direct sales, maybe just a straight gig deal. You say, well, when you come with me, you get a sponsor, or you get a mentor basically for free. You get community and BLP. You don't get that from Uber. You don't get that from other gigs, right? So you get to be part of our group. You get to go to events. You get an environment of growth, which means we help you with self-development. We have a give back. Apparently, that's a big deal with millennials, is that the idea of part of their money goes to something like Yoli Give. And that excites them. So that's something we should talk about. We have recognition. We have a career path with long-term income. And we have a scalable income, meaning you get to build income based on people you bring in. Uber doesn't have that. That doesn't work, right? So we have a lot of positives that work for us in direct sales that are in addition to what they have as well. And he said, but the main thing that we have is the idea that we don't wake up every day unemployed. So every day they start over. They have zero money. They have nobody working for them. They have to go out and start their gig again. And in direct sales, once you've built, you don't start over. You start with, all of a sudden you have customers ordering, you haven't done any work, and you've got people working for you already. So I think that was a really important part of it. In direct sales, if we do the work right, and he really stressed right, the first time we get paid over and over and over again. And he said that's a concept we should be telling everybody. All you have to do is do it right the first time, and you'll get paid over and over and over. He said that just resonates with their brain, the idea of snapping my fingers. He even said, do that. These are little tricks that get people to really to bind that into their brain, that they get paid over and over. So really work on that. What else? And the key of what he meant by doing it right is something that we all could be better at, right? So when you bring in a new member and they're excited, we need to stop everything and go to work for them. If you're a leader, that's what you need to do. You've got to build their business through the stages of growth, which I'll cover on another call, but work on that hardcore. And I know I'm running over here, so I'm going to kind of try to wrap it up. There's always going to be those people that you just aren't comfortable talking to, or that one person, right? The next person, that very next person. Oh, I'm reluctant to talk to them. He said, we all have those feelings. Be very careful, because that one person may not be comfortable being broke anymore, and you're waiting on them. And somebody else is going to talk to them. So your feeling of being uncomfortable might be delaying their ability to get out of their uncomfortableness. And he said, the other thing you need to think about is, are you comfortable not being in charge of your own time? Are you comfortable being broke? Because if I can look at you in the eye and say, I'm broke and I'm not comfortable with it, then why aren't you making that call? Why aren't you talking to that person? You're already uncomfortable. You're very uncomfortable, and your future is going to stay uncomfortable. You might as well make that call and go after it. And so he said, that's a really key concept. Don't, throw fear aside, you guys. Most people are praying for what we have, so we just have to get out and give it to them. So simply because I'm out of time, I'm going to wrap this up. I guess what I would tell you guys is, you know what? We have a huge event coming this Saturday, right? And I hope everyone that's on this call is there. Obviously, some of the West Coast and stuff can't be there, but if you're anywhere near this area, you guys need to be there. But more importantly than that, you got to get someone there. And I'll tell you why. When you go to an event like this, I will guarantee you one thing: you're going to get excited. I went to this event in LA and got very excited. But when I come home, my whole team is not as excited as I am. They're still in the same mode that they were the day I left. So you have to then try to pull them with you and somehow get your excitement across to them. And I'm going to tell you, that's not easy. But if you can get people there, and the more people you get there, they will all be excited. And you won't have to work so hard to get them excited, because they're already fired up. And that will just provide you with that many more people to go to work with, right? We all want people. I want somebody to work with. That's what I want in the worst way. I just want somebody that will run with me. Then why aren't you getting them to this event? Because if you want a runner, I will guarantee you they will be more ready to run after an event like this than if you go try to talk them into it when they haven't felt what you just felt for that day. Does that make sense? Go to this event, but be prepared. Think about what you want. Write it down before the event. Think about, what do you really want from this? What do you want from Saturday? What's going to change for you in 2019? What needs to change for you in 2019? What's your why? And carry that with you to this event so you can apply it while you're sitting there. Be open-minded. Remember, everybody has different theories. Everybody's done this thing differently. Don't always compare yourself to everyone else in this business. We all have our own route and path. But be open-minded to what people have to offer you. And finally, I would tell you also, be aware of the events that are coming, right? We have Transform Use, multiple ones. Look at where they are. Look at the dates. Obviously, conference hasn't been established as far as the date yet, but you guys got to start thinking about those things right now. Just like any other business, they're budgeting now for things that are going to come throughout the year. You guys got to start thinking about conference. You got to start thinking about Transform Use. Start thinking about the events you're going to scatter throughout the year to keep you on that high. Because ultimately, the other guarantee is you are going to have lows. And the one thing that will always pull you out of those are events. So again, we're going to have a great event, you guys. I guarantee you some great content. I will guarantee you a higher energy than there was in California. And I'm not dissing California. It's a great group, but our event, as far as how it's produced, the BLP that you get, you know, hanging out with people, being able to rub shoulders, the little meeting we're going to have after with hors d'oeuvres and hanging out, and just, again, that BLP, you guys, we have something very, very special. And we need to invite more people to get into that, because we want more people in our business, right? So I'm now 11 minutes over, so I'm going to cut it off right there. I appreciate you guys being on. Kathy, Susan, Sky, if you guys have anything to add, jump on. Otherwise, I'll see you on Saturday. I hope to see most of you Friday. We're going to be there Friday afternoon. We're planning on just kind of hanging out at the
I'm gonna leave really quick.
Holiday Inn. So if you're around
Hold on, let me leave
City
so I can listen.
Friday, come join us.
Thanks, Ben.
See you Saturday.